What's up everyone, it's your FPL Thinking Cap Benji. Today is double upload day as I bring you best FPL Captain. Last game week we had Mo Salah in at number 1 and he delivered again. He's just so consistent. A solid 9-pointer which is acceptable, but is it time to stick with Mo or is it time to twist to a popular English asset? Thinking Cap activated. No perfect rankings in 18, but we did get a few things right. Look, Palmer, he was the most optimal captain, hitting 10 points, but we only lost 2 points on Salah cap on that decision, so it did work out in the end. Isak also delivered, but he did score less points than the other two, which makes it 1 green tick from 3, and I was just 1 point off a perfect rankings. Haaland missed a pen last game week, and he's been removed from 19's shortlist. Teammate Phil Foden steps in after impressing. He's got a great fixture in Leicester away. Salah's the second Sunday option with that West Ham game starting a little bit later. That leaves Palmer and Watkins on the Monday, both with a late night fixture set to kick off at 7:45. Historically, it's Salah who's been the most explosive. He boasts a 50% double-digit haul rate away to West Ham, but it's Palmer who is only 10% lower. Quite impressive. He's hauled in almost half of his starts versus promoted sides away from home. I wouldn't sleep on Ollie Watkins if I were you this week. Last time he played Brighton at home, he returned a career high 23-pointer, a hat-trick, and 2 assists. This is one of Watkins' most preferred fixtures every season. He hasn't blanked in his last 3 starts at home to Brighton. Foden's historical record suggests inconsistency against the bottom feeders. He's got the highest blank rate out of all 4. West Ham are likely to be missing 6 players ahead of the clash, with Liverpool. Souček and Rodriguez picked up suspensions for yellow card accumulation. That's 2 of West Ham's starting midfield out for Liverpool in 19. Kilman also picked up a serious injury. I think it's very, very unlikely he starts. As bad as he's been this season, he's still better than West Ham's backup options. Fabianski also came off with a head injury, and Carlos Soler was subbed at halftime with a knock. This West Ham team is extremely targetable, not only because of the missing players, but also if you look at the defensive data. West Ham's goals conceded and shots on target conceded aren't very far off the promoted teams. On top of that, West Ham have conceded 85 chances down Salah's flank, which is way more compared to the other zones. So from a matchup perspective, Salah definitely gets a big green tick. Salah will probably face up against an aging Emerson at left back, and even if Wan-Bissaka does start there at left back, I've seen Wan-Bissaka gift a pen to Salah at Old Trafford from left back, so it's really not that much of a concern, and this is definitely a top 2, if not the number 1 most targetable fixture, just based off all of the factors I've mentioned. Next, it's definitely a toss-up between Leicester and Ipswich. Based off the underlyings, perhaps you could say Leicester are the most targetable, but Ipswich have the worst home record this season, and I trust Chelsea's attack more than I trust Man City's at the moment. Just on Brighton and Watkins, I think how good this fixture is will highly be dependent on game state and how aggressive Hurtseller chooses to set up in press and in possession. If he does go with a high line, I'm expecting this to be a money fixture for Watkins. It's Mo Salah who looks like the most reliable option for his game day. In his last 5 Sunday away starts, Salah's managed returns in all 5, as well as 4 double-digit hauls and a 21-pointer, which was that Spurs game just a week ago. Mo's offering the highest double-digit haul rate. He's in monstrous Sunday away form, and the only other option that really comes close is Palmer in the midweek away matches. I mean, he's decent. It's decent from Palmer. I'm not too sure about it. I mean, he's only started 3 Monday away fixtures in his career, but he has returned in all of them. And look, I will say his historical midweek record, it's pretty solid. And he's averaging a 1.1 return rate, which does match what Salah's doing on Sundays at the moment. Palmer's points average is also just 0.5 lower than Salah, and he's also got the best blank rate at 13%. So for sure, I'd say Mo and Palmer look like the most trustworthy candidates for captaincy at the moment. Perhaps Salah offers you a little bit more explosivity, but Palmer looks to be safer for 1 return just based on percentages. The other two don't seem to show positive preference in this category. Both Watkins and Foden have blanked in over 50% of starts for their upcoming game day. Foden's been really stinky, whereas at least Watkins' trends, they could be on the turn. Watkins recorded his first double-digit haul in a midweek home game this season versus Brentford, and returns in each of his last 3 midweek starts at home does certainly brighten the mood. Now for the player game time comparison, let's start with Salah. He's never started a Sunday fixture at 5:15, but he started away from home at this time before. His dataset is less appealing as his return rate dips under 1 GA per start, and his blank rate has shot up into the sub-30s, which, look, it's not amazing, but form is one of the most important factors in captaincy, and Salah's form in this category is second to none. He's boasting 4 returns in his last 5 starts, with the only blank coming away to Tottenham last season, where he was robbed of an assist because of that Luis Diaz offside VAR mistake. So for me, he has 5 returns in 5, and the form is there. There's certainly room for progression in Salah's kickoff profile, and considering how strong Salah's historical record has been on Sunday this season, I'm willing to ignore the blank rate uptick and the return rate just because it's an unusual Sunday kickoff for Salah. But even at this game time, he's still been decent. Palmer has only started 5 games away from 7 to 8 p.m. in the league, and Palmer's blanked just once in those ones. Great consistency in the late night fixtures. He's definitely showing some signs of positive bias towards midweek rounds. Ignore Foden as an option. He has a very, very small sample size of starts, so we can't really take much out of his data. But in terms of Watkins, at least there is some signs of changing trends in terms of his preference to what kickoff, considering he's been so bad in these midweeks in the past 3 years, and he's still come out with 3 returns in his last 3 kickoffs between 7 and 8 p.m. It's still a very good sign for Watkins' captaincy. I've got Cole Palmer at the strongest projected minutes, mainly because of the fixture spacing. He's got an extra day's rest over the likes of Salah and Foden. If Chelsea are cruising in that one, then he's probably coming off with a few returns, so I think Palmer's minutes look for the most part pretty nailed. I've also got Salah's minutes pretty high as well, at least much higher than I did have them last week, but yeah, they're sitting at 84 expected, which I do think is fair. Liverpool should have this West Ham team done and dusted pretty soon, so I think we'll see that early Mo sub post 80 minutes, but Liverpool don't have a midweek game next week, so he'll probably just stay on for the full 90. So Mo's minutes aren't a problem at all. And moving on to Watkins, I've got him around the same as Mo, a little bit lower at 83, but Emery doesn't have a John Duran to just turn around in the bench and throw him on. He doesn't have that because he is suspended. Not to mention, Villa have some of the best fixture spacing over the next 2 weeks, and Watkins has barely played. Like, he played 45 minutes just running around away to Newcastle, 0.0 XG, so I don't think there's much fatigue from that cameo. I'm expecting him to be fresh and ready for a solid 80 minutes versus Brighton. Foden, I've got him at the lowest projected minutes, and that's because I do believe Foden has the highest likelihood for a surprise benching. The turnaround is also a little tighter, 2-day gap between Everton at home and Leicester away, so there's a tiny chance, a tiny risk that Foden's minutes aren't as secure as I'd hoped in this next patch, which is why if we move into the Gameweek 19 rankings, it's Phil Foden in the wildcard spot. He's obviously extremely differential, guys, very differential. Nobody owns this guy, and a captaincy on this guy could literally change your season, but is this the moment? I'm not too sure. I think there's a little bit of risk there. There's actually quite a lot of risk there considering where the EO is this week in terms of if you do factor that into your decision. And look, I do think Foden has had an uptick in his personal performances lately, but Pep is Pep. He does strange things, and I don't really have that trust with Man City to put Foden into the top 3. He's still a very good differential captaincy option. Yes, very high risk, but the rewards are very tempting. Maybe next week, Foden. Maybe next week, save your returns. Now, let's move into the top 3, starting with 3rd place, which is Oliver Watkins. I'd love to put you higher, but I think Salah and Palmer are just much better captaincy options with a ceiling, with the floor, clean sheet potential, just everything, just better captaincy options. And again, the trust is a factor with Watkins, but also it's not like he has any clear positive preference towards this upcoming kickoff. Yes, I can't just recommend him based off his historical record, because that's not really fair. You need to consider all factors. I don't think Brighton are the most targetable fixture at the moment. So with that being factored in, and also Watkins' double-digit haul rates in terms of when we're looking at the kickoff analysis, they're nowhere near close to the level of the premium midfielders. They're just not, right? So, and in terms of Brighton are definitely, at least arguably, the one of the toughest fixtures to captain against on this shortlist. And like I said, they're all really nice fixtures, but I don't think Brighton is the most targetable. Like I said, I think they got a, 1-0 win away to Newcastle this season. So there is a little bit of risk there with Watkins' cap. And for me, I don't have that trust with him right now. But like I said before, this game and in terms of fixture, how good it's going to be for Watkins depends on how Hurtzeller sets up. If he sets up with a high line, I think this is going to be gold mine for Watkins' returns. But let's see what happens there. I think Watkins' minutes are definitely secure as well. He's got nobody else to start him ahead of him, and considering the fixture favoritism over the last few years, also adding in the fact that Watkins has considerably more penalty share than Foden will ever have, I do believe Watkins, I think he's a top captaincy option this weekend. Even with all of the negative factors I mentioned, I still think he's just got excellent chances this week, and there has been a little bit of an uptick in his midweek performances, so someone I would consider, but In terms of my best captain for Game Week 19, that would go to Mo Salah. Sorry, Palmer, but you're in second place again. As soon as I saw that absentee list for West Ham, I think Salah was pretty locked in my mind. And it's not even an EO thing. I really think Salah can smash this West Ham team. He's on a 10-game return streak in the league, and historically, once he gets this far, past that 8-9 range, he gets to 15 in a row, like he did 3 or 4 years ago. Now, it could end, obviously, I'm not saying that he's just going to return every week, but in terms of historically what he's done, he still has a few games to go. Like, he's so ridiculously consistent, and West Ham are just there for the taking, I feel. And also, if you know about the Anthony Taylor juice, he is the referee on that game. So if you guys know about the juice, he's given a pen to Man City, then he gave 2 pens to Palmer. They were pens, but the pen's always full in that game. Like Anthony Taylor, he has the most penalties per appearance awarded, and he's on the Liverpool game, especially. He has heavy favoritism towards the away teams giving penalties away, so that's a little stat for you. And Salah's only 2 GA away from the highest goals and assist output ever in a single month from a Premier League player, a record which Suarez holds on 13 GA. Mo is on 11 right now, so 2 more returns in this game, and Salah matches that record, the most returns ever in a single month, which is just insane. 3 returns and he beats it, so I'm going to be backing Salah with the armband. Just on Palmer, I think he's an excellent second captaincy option for sure, my vice captaincy, but I'm just less trusting of what I saw from Chelsea on Thursday. And let's say a Nico Jackson does get benched. I don't think a Palmer cap with Nkunku at the number 9 will have you feeling very fired up, ready to go, ready to watch your captain play. So there's a few unpredictable variables in that Chelsea game, which is why I'm backing Mo Salah. Again, if you've enjoyed this one, then drop a like. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Peace.